There's a concept of tax credit that has been introduced very recently for people who are registered in sales tax, but this is confined to manufacturers only who make 90% of their sales to registered persons. We are saying this credit should be open to all sectors, and the condition of 90% if the CBR feels that this is a must, it may continue, but we feel 90 से थोड़ा सा इसको नीचे भी कर सकते हैं, 80 पे ला सकते हैं. So this will incentivize people to make sales more and more to the registered persons. इससे आपका documentation base बढ़ेगा, and that will help to identify more and more taxpayers and broaden the tax base. Cash withdrawal, we feel it's a collection in the right direction as far as the large cash transactions are concerned. Parallel cash economies जो हैं उसमें it's a big challenge to the tax revenue collector, and to incentivize that we suggest that ये rate इसका थोड़ा और बढ़ा दें आप, लेकिन at the same time फिर जो genuine cash withdrawal है उसको आप comfort दें, and the 25,000 की जो exemption है उसको बढ़ा के 50,000 कर दें. So we are giving proposals for both sides. एक तो rate बढ़ा दें आप, and then also raise the basic exemption per day to 50,000. Then we have identified a few irritants. I will not go through into it in detail because there's time constraint here. There's a very major issue in on the cash payment disallowance issue. We detected this, and we actually faced this on the agro-based purchases that the major industries are making, because the major issue is that there is lack of literacy in the rural areas. People don't accept banking channel documents, and banking facilities are also quite scarce. So this is being faced by large companies like the food companies or the paper companies, and what they actually now have to do is they are introducing a middleman in between, but then that increases the cost of purchase by 3.5% or whatever. So we are saying that at least the agro-based purchases should be, which are purchased directly from the farmer or the grower, those should be exempted from this section, and they should be allowed to make cash purchases. And of course the full record of purchase should be available with them. So, and this should only be allowed to the organized corporate sector. Group taxation is a demand that there is one issue in here as far as private companies are concerned, that the requirement to qualify for group relief is that you have the holding company to get listed. We are saying this should be brought at par with the public company requirement to get any company listed. So this has been a demand in the past. We think it's high time now that group relief concept has been there for quite some time. People are not being able to avail this concept. To make this effective, this suggestion should be accepted. This is another area which we saw that there is an unlimited joint and several liability on the directors of the company in case of a tax demand. We think that this is not at par, because in the normal course this should not be the thing, and the limited liability of the director should be it should be accepted, because otherwise this is a disincentive to businesses to get corporatized, because already what's the incentive then if your limited liability is not accepted, because your interest is not saved. Because if there is a tax fraud, in any case the corporate law also does not cater to a fraud situation, and in that case the director's liability becomes unlimited. So there is no I don't think there is a risk in capping this liability. Then one quick issue here is the exemption of income of workers' profit participation fund. This exemption is still there in the legislation of WPPF, but it's still it is not here. It's gone out of the income tax law because of an amendment in section 54, which allowed exemptions in other laws to be recognized in income tax law. So we think it has always been exempt, and now that it has been removed, an appropriate exemption should again be restored in the income tax ordinance. Then there are a lot of technical and editorial changes which we have printed in our book, and this is going to the FBR also. We suggest that the FBR should look at all these lacunas, because often this creates a lot of issues here. And then there is a biggest apart from all this that we talked about the law, implementation of law, how the law can be made seamless and friendly. The biggest question is the implementation issue. What we are recently seeing here is a slide on the implementation side, and how the law is actually being implemented on the field. That's a big question that is now coming up, as we are seeing in a very recent time, because over the past year, since the introduction of this 2000 scheme, and the economy was performing, revenue was coming, everything was fine. But now with the revenue pressures, there are a lot of implementation questions. So I think the CBR, I'm sure you are already bogged into it, and you are trying to do your best how to facilitate the corporate sector, but sometimes messages to the corporate sector are not good. They're not encouraging.
Sorry to interrupt, Heather. You can cover the rest of your points.
I've already done. I'm over. So thank you very much for a patient hearing, and thank you to SRC for inviting me to share my views. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Heather, for your detailed presentation on direct taxes. Now I would like to announce a surprise break and tea break. Let's reassemble at 6:30.